So this is Moser, and this is the Apple Watch. Then here's what Moser did. So here's what we're going to do in this video. First, we're going to thank kenwatches.com for letting me spend some time with this really unique H. Moser Swiss Alp watch. They're essentially a watch dealer in Hong Kong. They've got 4 stores there and they do ship worldwide. Check them out at kenwatches.com. And then we're going to go over the in-hand feel and specifications of the watch. And then finally, we're going to address the big question: why H. Moser ridiculed the Apple Watch? Because that's essentially what this watch is parodying, the Apple Watch. So there are 3 key things that come to mind when taking a look at this piece. Now, the first thing that hits you is that really strong, punchy green in the dial. Now, the case, of course, it's very distinctive. It's an Apple Watch styled case, but that green is what really strikes you on first glance. So this is what H. Moser calls a cosmic green, and it is pretty cosmic when you look at it. It's a sunburst fume dial because H. Moser pretty much always does fume dials and all of their watches. If you take a look at the Streamliner or the Pioneer, Center Seconds, whatever, all their watches, they love to put fume dials in them. Now, that's exactly what they've done here. Now, personally, this trend of green is not something I'm the biggest fan of. I like green to an extent. I like the Kermit, the new Kermit. That little pop of green is fine, but green dials like in the Hulk, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of that. Of course, if you offered me a Hulk at retail, I'm going to take it. But that's beside the point. Rolex, Patek, AP, all these brands have been making green because it's what's trendy now. And I think there's enough green. But this particular watch, the H. Moser Swiss Alp watch, was launched in 2018. So they were kind of in the middle of the green trend. So let's excuse that. Green didn't really catch on until the last 5 years or so. Now, the second thing that's very distinctive is that white gold case. Yes, this is not a steel case, it's solid white gold. Now the dimensions are 38 millimeters across, which is technically the case diameter, but it is a rectangle, so breadth-wise it's 38 millimeters, and length-wise, which is lug to lug, it's 44 millimeters. Now it has a thickness of 10 millimeters, and for such a watch with a display case back, that's actually quite thin. And it sits okay on the wrist only because it's so flat, it's literally a slab. And that's not ideal for the contour of a wrist, but it's still small enough to sit decently well on the wrist. Now, the third thing that's important about this watch is really the movement and the fact that they included a PR, power reserve complication, on the backside. So the power reserve complication is essentially in the movement, and you can only see it when you take a look at it through the display case back. I really like this touch because it would look a bit odd on the dial. I mean, Grand Seiko loves doing it, but I think it's kind of, covertly cool to have it on the display case back. Now, the movement itself is the H. Moser Caliber 324. Now, there's a few things about this movement that are worth remarking. So it's got a power reserve of 96 hours. Now, that's traditionally really great. That's 4 days. If you can put your watch down on Thursday and then pick it up back on Monday and wear it, that's pretty cool. But nobody's going to wear this piece on a daily basis. It's a special occasion watch. So is that 96-hour power reserve really useful? Not really, but I love the fact that it's there. Now, one thing that actually detracts from this is that it's got a beat rate of 18,000 beats per hour. That's particularly low when it comes to, modern watches. Independent brands typically do have lower beat rates because they don't really focus so much on the precision and accuracy, because that's not what mechanical watches are about. But still, I would like to have a higher beat rate, but that's kind of the reason they've been able to extract 96 hours of power reserve from this movement, because the higher the beat rate, the lower the power reserve, given the same mainspring. Now, there's actually a reason why 18,000 beats per hour is still okay on this piece, and it doesn't really matter. And that's because the watch doesn't have a seconds hand. Without a seconds hand, it really doesn't matter what beat rate you have, because you can't tell. It's not visibly slower or seemingly less accurate than any other watch, because you just don't see that seconds hand and how smoothly it sweeps. So actually 18,000 beats per hour makes sense in this watch, and it really doesn't matter. But here's the thing that matters. If you take a look at the dial, you really see no hour markings, minute markings, nothing whatsoever. You just see the hour hand and seconds hand and that vast expanse of cosmic green. So this is clearly a piece that's not meant to be worn all that much or relied upon. It's really that conversation piece or something you take a look at and you find charming, and not something you use as a tool. And let's finally address the elephant in the room, the fact that it looks like an Apple Watch. This brings us to why Moser essentially parodies and ridicules the Apple Watch with this H. Moser Swiss Alp watch. Now, the whole theme and idea behind the Apple Watch is to be an extension of your phone and to be a tool of absolute precision. If you take a look at the fitness aspects of the Apple Watch, it tracks your heart rate, it has a blood oxygen sensor, and it even has an electrocardiogram. These are highly precise measurements that are quite important in what they do. So the tool aspect of an Apple Watch is actually much greater than any mechanical watch. Now, this H. Moser perfectly parodies the Apple Watch because it looks like an Apple Watch, but it's perfectly imprecise. Now, when I say imprecise, I mean it in a good way. There's absolutely no markings whatsoever. There's no seconds hand. You can't know what seconds you're in, and you can't really even know what minute you're in. And if you want to know what hour it is, you've got to have good lighting around you because there's no lume. The really fun thing about this watch is all of these imprecise features are so intentional. In essence, I think this piece really ridicules the Apple Watch and what that watch stands for. And it really shows what mechanical watches are about, because it's purposely imprecise. It doesn't have a high beat rate. Now, that could be just because of the caliber, but still it fits into this narrative really well. It really emphasizes that the philosophy and idea behind mechanical watches and this community is not about the precision. It's not about a watch being the sum of its components. It's something entirely different. It's something that's not in the realm of practicality. It's more emotive. It's about how a certain watch makes you feel. It's about why there's a passion behind the watch, and not so much what the watch is useful for. And that's why I think H. Moser really had a home run with this watch. Now, it's not for everybody. Like, I would never get this or wear this. First of all, it's extremely expensive on the first hand. And also, it's not something that appeals to me. But I really like that H. Moser took this really sort of dangerous step to do this watch and make fun of the Apple Watch, whilst remaining true to their own brand and the core values of the mechanical watch enthusiast. I find this really fascinating. I want to know what exactly you think about it. So let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video or other videos on the channel, do check them out. And, well, subscribe if you like them. Also, do catch me on Instagram at StandardTimeInsta. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Cheers.